Hi everyone, it's John. Several months ago I got turned on to a new book site that I didn't know existed before I'd heard of it, called Hamilton Books. And since then I've made a few orders of books that I didn't need, but ordered anyway. And I recently finished one of the first ones from the first set that I bought, and wanted to post a review of it and tell you a little bit about it. It is called Lenin on the Train by Catherine Merridale. Catherine Merridale came out with this book in 2017, which, as you might know, is the centennial anniversary of the Russian Revolution, and has written a number of other books on Russian history. She wrote a book called Ivan's War, and another one called Knight of Stone. And also one called Red Fortress, which apparently won the Wolfson Prize for History. But this book is about one particular event in Lenin's life, which I will tell you about right now. Vladimir Lenin spent most of World War I in Switzerland. An oddly neutral choice for someone so fiery and radical as Lenin himself. And when the first throes of the Russian Revolution broke out in February of 1917, abruptly ending 3 centuries of Romanov rule in Russia, Lenin resolved to finally make his way back to his home country in order to participate in the revolutionary grumblings and stirrings as much as he possibly could. He was unable to get the necessary documents to travel there through England and France as a normal person would have done, but being Lenin, he concocted something sure to work, at least in his own head. He tried to forge a false passport and disguise himself as a Swedish deaf mute. Of course, this was until his wife had to remind him that this probably wouldn't work, as he had a bad habit of talking about politics in his sleep, loudly and in Russian. So the Swedish deaf mute thing is probably going to fall apart. The German government soon learned of Lenin's desire to return to Russia and why he wanted to go, and they were very eager to interrupt the internal politics of Russia at the time. Remember, the geopolitics of World War I, Russia and Germany are on the opposite sides of the war, so of course Germany is going to take every opportunity it can to foil the internal stability of Russia, to what degree it actually existed in 1917. But they're going to support any internal attempt at a revolution. His journey to get to Russia, which would last 8 days and would cover well over 2,000 miles on his train trip, constitutes the core of the book. And while a ride in a train from Switzerland to Finland sounds like it could be delightful under the right set of circumstances, Lenin's imperiousness and sort of despotic personality made the train ride something less than a vacation. Not to mention the fact that they all insisted, Lenin insisted that they all ride third class, because, they're revolutionaries and everything. When Lenin arrived at Finland Station on April 3rd, 1917, he gave an impromptu speech which promised, quote, peace, bread, and land. He called for the condemnation of the provisional government and the Mensheviks. If you don't remember who the Mensheviks are, they were the slightly more moderate version of the Bolsheviks, who were nevertheless a revolutionary party, but were choosing to go about things in a slightly more piecemeal way. and supported the radical Bolsheviks, the party that eventually ended up taking power. Catherine Merridale uses the rather thin premise of an inauspicious train ride to write a book that fills in much of the political context that you need to fully understand the importance of the train ride itself, including much of the international diplomatic bumbling and political intrigue. She discusses that drama and intrigue between the Bolsheviks and the provisional government, and that of between Alexander Helfand, who is known as Parvis in the book. He's a figure that's sort of hard to circumscribe and tell you about, but he's kind of this shadowy figure who pops up repeatedly throughout the course of the book. And if memory serves, is one of the first people to tell the German government that Lenin was looking to go back to Russia and help with the revolution. If there is one shortfall to Merridale's book, it's that all the statecraft and, like I said before, international intrigue and bigger-than-life personalities aren't really done any favors by treating the revolution or its precipitating events, like the train ride, as an episode of romantic heroism. Lenin on the Train is written with a novelist's touch and with a deft hand for historical narrative, as you would expect from someone who's written several books on the subject, or the country and the time period. But Lenin comes off looking a bit too much like a Lermontovian hero of our time, rather than a power-hungry despot who couldn't leave well enough alone. She gives passing lip service to the gravity of Lenin's influence in the revolution by saying, quote, Lenin's answers may have looked seductive for a while, but people are not set free by dictatorships, end quote. But Merridale nevertheless limns him as an intense, albeit avuncular eccentric, instead of the man who laid the path for Stalin's rise to power. And it's an imbalance that ultimately detracts from the quality and, to be quite honest, the honesty of the book. For those of you who care about or pay attention to Goodreads ratings, I gave this a 3 out of 5. If that sort of kind of swashbuckling, romantic intrigue kind of history writing does it for you more than it does it for me, you can probably tell it doesn't do it too much for me, and you're interested in Russian Revolutionary history, this might be something you were very, very interested in. Kind of reads like a novel, and has some, needless to say, fascinating figures in it. Lenin on the Train by Catherine Merridale.